Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome into 104.3 The Fans Coffee Break. We've got Cecil Lammey, James Marilat, and Draymond Green and Russell Wilson. Man, they are the talk of the town. Russell should be thanking Draymond for punching Jordan Poole in the face because it took a little bit of the heat off of Russell Wilson this morning. Good morning again, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us in the comments. We love seeing them come in. Please keep them coming. We got to talk last night about the 12-9 overtime loss to the worst offense in the NFL, that is the Indianapolis Colts. So does that officially make the Broncos the worst offense in the league? Cecil.
It's so embarrassing. It's so bad. It's beyond words, really. That's how terrible this team is. We can't even describe it. So we can say worst of all time or whatever and be accused of being shot jocks or hot take radio or whatever. It's all garbage, okay? The Broncos organization, their defense has some positive things, and I'm trying to stay positive, like really, really difficult. Really, really difficult, and I'm being as serious as a judge. Usually I come on and I'm, sunglasses, winter coat. I try to be funny. I try to bring some light. There's no light. Why do you think I'm wearing a sun chakra shirt today? Okay? Because I need some positivity, because this flat out sucks, and I'm going to try, Rachel and James, because you're my boss. I will try to get through the show without cussing, because that's how God-blessed bad this team is. They're absolutely an abomination.
Yeah, and look, Cecil, that's not hyperbolic, right? I mean, I've been watching this team for 40-plus years. I watched 5 Super Bowls that they lost by a combined 206-58. Those games they were losing to the Doomsday Cowboys and to, Joe Montana and to Joe Gibbs and the Redskins and Lawrence Taylor and the Giants. Like, they lost last night to Matt Ryan and Phillip Lindsay and the worst offense in the league, who didn't even hit their average of 14.3 points a game, and they still beat Denver. This is a Broncos offense that in 3 home games has scored 34 points, 1 touchdown, 9 field goals. They had a home game where they had more 3-and-outs than they did when Kendall Hinton played wide receiver with Russell Wilson at quarterback. And last night, they had 5 trips in the second half into field goal range. 5. They came away with 3 points. I mean, it is so mismanaged, disheveled, just out of whack, disorganized. I mean, I keep coming up with adjectives. They all fit. It is a mess. And, for me, it's like, yeah, we can look at it and talk about it, and we'll lament what happened last night. I can't believe they lost that game. Really, there was no point until the 4th and 1 ball felt incomplete that I actually thought they were going to lose the game. Never. It almost was unfathomable. And so we can talk about that, but it's turn the page time too. And they play 10 days from today on a Monday night, another primetime game in LA against the Chargers. If they just think this is going to heal itself and no changes are necessary, they're delusional. It's not. It's getting worse. On a weekly basis, guys, it's getting worse.
We were excited it was a short week after the Raiders game because we could quickly move on. Now we've got 10 days to sit and brew on this loss, which was even worse than what we saw against the Raiders. Cecil, who takes the blame for this one? Is it Nathaniel Hackett or is it quarterback Russell Wilson?
Well, I mean, it's got to be part of both, honestly. And I hate to be a cop-out like that, but Nathaniel Hackett stinks. I mean, just flat out is not a head coach in this league. Sorry, we don't need to see any more. If you wanted to fire him today, I'd be fine with it. I know they're not going to do that, and maybe those aren't the changes that James speaks of, but it's clearly Nathaniel Hackett. Okay, it is. All right, good. Fire Hackett.
Well,
get the trend going, right?
Sorry to interrupt you, but Ejiro Evero is going to be a candidate for head coaching job at the end of the season. He's going to be.
Yes.
So do you want him to leave so you can keep Nathaniel Hackett, or do you just say, hey, the best guy on this staff is right there. Let Clint Kubiak call the plays and let Justin Outen and Nathaniel Hackett go drink beers and ice fish. I don't care. But that would be my short-term fix is let's see what you have in Ejiro Evero in the last, 12 games or 11 games, 12 games here. That's what I would do.
Yeah, and do it before you lose him, potentially to a division foe, the one you're facing next. Because Brandon Staley's on a hot seat. I mean, I think it's very telling, as I filled in yesterday for Mark Schlereth on Schlereth and Evans. We talked to Adam Schefter, and I said, hey, what about Sean Payton and the Broncos? And he said, Cecil, you're the second person today to ask me about that. So, whatever. Sean Payton next year, Jair Evero now, like, you've got other options. It's not working. This was a move clearly done to get Aaron Rodgers. That didn't work. and Aaron Rodgers has been much, much better than Russell Wilson is at this point. Wilson isn't done. So Seattle fans, you can stick it, right? Oh, he's terrible. Like, no, he's not done, but this isn't good. And Nathaniel Hackett isn't bringing the best out of him. He's absolutely clueless. Happy fun baby star. Sorry, man. Give him a pink slip.
Well, the big play is the miss on KJ Hamler. Good Morning Football talked about it this morning. So let's take a listen real quick.
This is going places really fast. The last play is meaningful, not in just that it was KJ Hamler or not that he missed. It's the reaction afterwards from Hamler. It's spiking the helmets. It's that I don't know when Russell Wilson turned into Mitch Trubisky, but I wish he would turn into Geno Smith so they could win a game.
It's a take.
Okay?
Right.
Because Geno makes that play 10 times out of 10. And then afterwards, they got a 4th and 1. They want to go for it. And look at that. That is a teammate that is on national television, that is at home. Afterwards, it's just perfect. They pass when maybe they should have run.
Listen, I was in the stands, like in the press box yesterday. I didn't see this from KJ Hamler, but that is an absolute look of disgust at your quarterback. Has Russell Wilson lost control of his teammates out there, James?
Yeah. Can you imagine a Peyton Manning wide receiver doing that? And look, with hindsight, everybody thinks John Elway won every game and played great. Everybody remembers Peyton Manning was always awesome. Even in 2015, he struggled, but you guys will remember 2014, they go out to St. Louis and they only score 7 points. And you didn't see that kind of nonsense from receivers on Peyton Manning's teams. So it does speak to, okay, what's going on here? I think Kyle Brandt's onto something. There's a deeper issue. But guys, that is not a difficult read. If my 8th grade team quarterback missed that, I'd be mad. It's set up perfectly too. I mean, KJ Hamler's not running a clear out route. He comes kind of underneath. It's designed for him to get open just the way he did. And Russell Wilson didn't even look that direction. Didn't even consider it. So again, it's some of it's on him, but it's also an offense that's just totally out of sync. It really is. And it's this meshing of what Hackett wants to do, what Russell Wilson wants to do. It's like taking 2 really good family recipes and you put them together and then it's just garbage. That's what's happening here. So pick a recipe. Let's all have something that's edible. And I would go with Russell Wilson's and that's what I had in my column today at denverfan.com. Do what Dan Reeves did in 1987 where he said, fine, John, you call the plays. John Elway was the league MVP that year. I would just let Russell Wilson have it. Just go do it. Because Nathaniel Hackett, he is in over his head. He doesn't make decisions. He admitted last night that Jerry Rosberg gave him the thumbs up to go for it on 4th down.
It's amazing.
I don't know what he's doing there, but it ain't working. That's for sure.
Yeah, you don't want your head coach to be a cuck. I mean, the guy can't read. If you got about the family recipes, right? Oh, I got my family recipe. You can't read what's on it. I think that's onions. I don't know. Throw it in. We know the Shanahan offense is great. We know that Russell Wilson has the potential to be great. It's all bad, and the play design is incredibly bad. We should watch the all-22 of that. I haven't watched the all-22 yet, but I've watched that play enough. And there was a play earlier I highlighted in my 3 observations. On the first drive where it's double slant, which is fine. It's a standard play, but it's double slant where if you watch where Hamler's going, it's wide open in the middle. And KJ's throw was a little bit more difficult than Jerry's because he took Jerry and it was like a 7-yard gain, whatever. I'm surprised Jerry Jeudy caught it. But if he just makes a more difficult throw, which he's capable of, to get Hamler turns up the field and that's a touchdown for, 50, 60 yards, whatever it was. But these play design, the Montrell Washington, the greatest pick ever, right? My God, everyone, it was terrible, all right? And a fine player, great kid, nicest ever. A mistake by George Payton. We can all admit it. But when you're making that play and you have that design, okay, Russ, what are you doing? Why are your feet there? Why are you hitching there? Why is that play designed to hitch there when it's clearly designed to get a guy open? You've got the Montrell Washington, Cortland Sutton play. Remember that? Where it's like Cortland Sutton has to rip it away from his own teammate because they're in the same damn spot? What? Who's designing these plays? Why is it like that? And as Hamler continued his route, if you'll see, he's open, and then he continues his route. He's open again. So there's 2 windows to throw him on that play. And after the second window closes, there's another receiver right there. Like you're basically running people. This is like the Keystone Cops or Three Stooges or whatever. Like you're running people into each other. It's god awful. Yeah, I'm just incredibly disappointed in this product.
Well, and look, Russell Wilson deserves plenty of blame. Again, his 2 interceptions last night were awful. He's the one who just missed KJ Hamler. He was wide open on the play we just saw for the game-winning touchdown, and he missed him. Didn't even look his direction. But all of that said, I still think it's pretty clear and evident that Russell Wilson's the most talented quarterback in this town since Peyton Manning left. Even as badly as he's playing, that's still readily apparent. Okay, and a lot of the pieces around him are the same. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Garrett Bowles, Dalton Reisner. And it's worse. It's worse than what we saw with Pat Shurmur, Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater. Okay, so if it's worse, then why? It's either the quarterback or the offensive mind. It's the head coach, the play caller. It's not the quarterback. And again, he has not been good, but he's still better than anybody they've had, right? They didn't regress at that position. They have regressed that much in terms of coaching and play calling and all the things you were talking about, Cecil, in terms of scheme. It just is. Honestly, I think it's too complicated. And they told us this during mini camps, that it's the most complicated offense of all time. Okay, great. And they're averaging, 15 points a game or whatever it is? Like, it sometimes more complicated isn't better. Actually, often more complicated isn't better. And this is a prime example of that fact.
And you can get there eventually with this offense. Eventually you can get there with this offense, but not right now. And you should have known that. And you should have been working together to achieve better results while not running your full system. Because this system, when it's ran to perfection, is great. It's almost unstoppable. Look what the 49ers have done with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not a good quarterback. So, figure this thing out, but you're not going to be able to do it with Nathaniel Hackett. And I think we all have been taught to drive. And when you're taught to drive, they say if you drive off the road, don't jerk the wheel, right? It's the classic overcorrection. You're supposed to ease back onto the highway. Well, they drove off the road with Vic Fangio, and they did the classic overcorrection of, old and manipulative and grumpy? Let's go get young and energetic and happy, fun baby star. That ain't working either.
It's not. And, the KJ Hamler reaction, listen, I'm fine with it. I'll take that over. Hey, we
love KJ.
Let's go exchange jerseys all day long. I'm down with that. Although we did have some of that going on last night too. But at least KJ Hamler showed me he cared. He showed me he wants to win. He shows me he was frustrated because all of us in the stands or all of us at home were reacting about that same way when that play happened. But it is an indication of just a dysfunctional organization. I already said you wouldn't see Peyton Manning's receivers do that. Can you imagine that happening on a Mike Shanahan coach team?
Guy never play again.
It wouldn't, right? Exactly. And we saw this same nonsense with Vic Fangio. We saw Brandon McManus getting into it with him on the sideline multiple times. We saw Shelby Harris. You see this kind of insubordination type of behavior. And this wasn't that. This was just honest frustration at the end of a game that you can't believe you lost. But we see it over and over and over again. They already, kind of undercut Hackett when after 2 games they brought in somebody to make the adult decisions. Listen, he's dead man walking. He's dead man walking. I don't think there's any coming back from this. So you might as well make the decision now and see if the defensive coordinator is a guy you want to retain. That would be my option.
I love KJ's reaction because it shows the frustration. I hate that Russell Wilson walked off the podium and said, "Let's ride." Despicable.
Keep believing in. Thank you guys. Broncos country.
Let's ride. I hate it. I hate that Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson are sitting in the locker room at his locker, going over and having a long conversation in front of the media. There are so many things that I hate about the way that this is being handled because it's not getting any better and it just feels like it's all for show. And I don't know which way to go with it. I don't know. There's just so many questions. There's so many questions about this. I know Broncos country is so frustrated too in the comments, but we also have to talk about, you guys, just because our show is so short. The 4th and 1. And Richard Sherman said it best because he's experienced it. He said it last night on Thursday Night Football. Let's take a listen.
On the final play, you got to run the ball again. I wish I had Marshawn up here. Like 1 yard. You need 1 yard. Run the ball. Run the ball. CT.
He's triggered.
All he has to do is run the football. Like, necessary criticism. I'm not, I've said enough criticism for him, but God dang it, run the dang ball. Like, learn from your mistakes.
Can somebody fill me in? What is he referring to?
I'm confused. Have you been in this situation before?
Run the ball.
I will say this.
Run the ball. Whose decision was it to not run the football season?
Run the dang ball.
Richard Sherman hates Russell Wilson anyway. So does Doug Baldwin. So does Marshawn. There's a lot of those older Seahawks that were no longer there after when Russ was still there that just don't like him. Let's put that first in. Second, the reaction from his co-host was just stupid. Sorry, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Great beard. Cut your beard. Anyway, and that decision was Pete Carroll's, by the way. If we're going to be truly honest, we could blame Russell Wilson. It's a me guy. Like, no, there's stuff with Russell Wilson that's probably not sitting real well. The office, the chefs, the personal team. Like, yeah, okay, that's got some guys talking around this team. It does. Now it's a superstar quarterback. So to anyone that talks about it, I go, well, what do you expect? Peyton Manning had stuff. Now he didn't have his personal chefs and team around him and all those sorts of things. But this is a new era, right? It's a new quarterback. You're going to see this more. You're going to see it more, whether you like it or not. So get used to it. And then that play call, that's not Russ. And this is why Russ needs to do that. Russ needs to be the aloha. And I wish I could totally say what I want to say. He needs to be that jerk that's like, we're not doing that. I've been here before. Hackett, shut up. Listen to me.
Here's the thing, though. Let's be fair, right? It was 3rd and 2 at the 6. They have a 99.1% chance of winning. They hand the ball to Melvin Gordon. He's lucky to get a yard.
And not fumble it.
If they hand the ball to Melvin Gordon a second straight time on 4th and 1 and they get stuffed, we are all killing Hackett for that play call. What would we all be saying? You have Russell Wilson, and you don't put that ball in his hands one out of those 2 plays? So I don't have an issue with it. And again, KJ Hamler was wide open for the game-winning touchdown. I do have an issue with the play call. I don't like your 5'10", 5'11" quarterback standing in the pocket. I put him under center. I go play action. I at least make the defense respect the run, and I get him on the move to where if there's not somebody wide open, he at least has a chance to outrun someone to the sticks, dive for the first down, do something. I didn't like the play call, although it was open. So I just think we got to, if we're being fair, imagine what we'd be saying tonight or today if it was 3rd and 2 at the 6 and they went run, go into the locker room as losers. We'd be killing them.
Russell could have ran on that play as well. I mean, there's so many things which we should just do 3 hours. I mean, my God, there's so many things like RPOs work, moving pocket works. Where's the Jake Plummer stuff, right? And Jake Plummer's a damn fine quarterback, but he wasn't as good as Russell Wilson and even Russell Wilson today.
And everybody's being critical of Russell Wilson, and it's deserved. I've been critical of his surrounding cast because I don't think there's another Pro Bowl caliber player, although he certainly is neither. There's not another Pro Bowl caliber player on this roster. Maybe Cortland Sutton, maybe on the offense. That said, I do think if you had Kevin O'Connell, if you had Kyle Shanahan, if you had Matt LaFleur, if you had Sean McVay, if you had Gary Kubiak, this offense would instantly average 24 points a game. It's about how they string things together and how they call stuff and how they set things up, and they just have no rhyme or reason to anything. There is more talent on this team than 15 points a game. I can tell you that much.
Oh, I mean, I agree. Obviously, Melvin's saying, I don't want Russ to feel like it's on him, that this is on him. We all make mistakes. It's part of the game. It's a roller coaster. Melvin obviously has been a part of the roller coaster. I thought he was the best offensive player out on the field yesterday for the Broncos. What else I don't like, you guys, is TJ Ward tweeting about it, saying there's stuff going on behind the scenes. Okay, that's great. How do you know that, though? Because that means that players in that locker room are talking to you about the things that are going on behind the scenes, and I don't like that at all. I don't like that Brandon McManus is on Twitter talking about it. And to be honest, it sounds like he did that foundation or whatever with the person he got into a spat with, and then it sounds like that wasn't actually the case. I don't like that any of these people are going out there, and surprisingly enough, it has been rather quiet from a lot of Broncos players today, but it just feels like Nathaniel Hackett has lost control of this team, and I don't know if you have what it takes to bring it all back together and tie it all back together, Cecil.
Well, it's the staff too. I mean, ask how many of these offensive linemen like Butch Berry. Wonder what that answer would be. I don't know what that answer is. I'm not giving you a Lassie bark. I'm just saying, like, so it's the staff. Like, it's more than just Hackett's awful and embarrassing and an abomination, but there's members of this staff that just should not be where they're at.
Everybody loves the easygoing teacher, the easygoing coach, the easygoing boss when things are going well, right? And nobody likes that kind of, type A personality and hard butt type of a leader. But I guarantee you down the road, you look back and like, that's the guy or gal I learned the most from. We're seeing a prime example of it, right? Who's the one that's going to lay down the law there, right? It's like two parents and both of them are just saying yes to everything. And then we're all looking at it going, I can't believe the kid didn't turn out well. Really? You can't? Nobody told him no, and you can't believe it didn't turn out well. I mean, it's so predictable, it's laughable.
Ugh, gosh, it's awful. All right, James. Well, we appreciate the time. Thanks for hanging with us. We do, everybody, have to tell you about a really fun experience featuring Redlines Athletic Center, too. Because, again, you can win a year-long membership at Redline Athletic Centennial for your student athlete. It's a brand new state-of-the-art speed and agility training facility, and it is the ultimate spot for your student athlete to take their performance to the next level. So you can definitely check it out at denverfan.com. Enter in ages 8 through 18. Help your student athlete become a better athlete. All right. I love it. Awesome opportunity again, Cecil. Oh my goodness, the comments are flowing. People are mad. After you've had a little bit of time to digest this, I'm interested to see where you were last night and if anything has changed to where you are this morning.
No, I'm still super pissed. Like, I'm barely containing myself on this show. And I'm doing that out of respect for you, Rachel. It's your show. I don't want to be an ass clown and be here and yelling and screaming and, like Richard Sherman, like that sort of emotion that Richard Sherman showed, which is legitimate. I mean, it's Richard's emotion. That's how I feel. I want to just yell. If we had some scream therapy, go out on a hogback here in Roxborough and start screaming. I'd tell all my neighbors first, like, hey, got some neighbor of mine's got some chickens down a couple houses down. Like, hey, I'm not gonna scare your chickens, but I'm gonna be on a hogback yelling like a wolf. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to keep it together because I would love to yell and cuss and scream and point the finger and all sorts of that. But players are talking. Players always talk.
Yeah.
Like the TJ Ward stuff, and the Brandon McManus stuff, just get off Twitter. Twitter's a waste of time. I know it's so information. You can get your information from it as long as it's not political. You can get some sports data from it, but Twitter's irrelevant. Twitter is absolutely meaningless. And if you're Brandon McManus, just get off it, dude. It's not doing you any good. Whatever the thing was and whatever, that was just so weird. It was just weird. Why are you doing that? And then the TJ Ward stuff. Yeah, of course TJ's going to know stuff because guys are talking. And there is, some disruption within the locker room. It's absolute chaos. And I can't stand it because I love this team. I love this organization. These fans deserve so much more, and they're just not getting it right now.
Where is there's a lot of problems. So let me preface this with saying there are a ton of problems for
Hackett.
this team. But is it just Nathaniel Hackett? Is it the relationship that he has where he's getting told all of these things? Is it the fact that no one has trust in it? What exactly is it with Nathaniel Hackett? It's
Hackett not calling the shots and bringing in too many young guys. I know Mike Munchak doesn't do West Coast, and that's, one of the reasons why you let Mike Munchak go. But why you hire Butch Berry? Around the league, people knew this wasn't going to work with Butch Berry. Talk to anybody around the NFL, and they'd be like, what? They hired that guy? Seriously? There were others you could have hired. I'll think of Chris Cooper first off my head. That would be a great hire. That's well-versed in the system, an up-and-coming coach, former Denver Bronco, and a great dude. So you've got this staff. Just Naughton. What does he do? Right? What was it a couple weeks ago? I can't even remember because there's been so many awful things, and I am seriously trying to hold it together. But Justin Naughton a couple weeks ago, didn't answer a question. Well, we already talked about that. Well, you didn't talk about it, Justin. You're getting the question now. It's your turn to answer. Yep. So there's this arrogance. It's I'm going to sound like the old guy, Rachel, but guess what? That's what I am. It's the youthful arrogance. Sometimes it's grating and annoying because you don't have the wisdom yet. Shout out to old people. Like, you gain some wisdom. Now there's a bunch of dumb old people as well. But Justin Otten has this youthful arrogance. Like, dude, you haven't done anything. You don't have any skins on the wall, to steal a line from John Fox.
Nope, that's it too. And I think that's where a lot of people are building frustration with. You haven't proven anything. You may be in this spot, but you haven't proved anything. Cecil, we're done talking about the Broncos for at least the next 10 minutes. Let's talk about the rest of the NFL. We've got Cecil's Fantasy Pad at 10:55. Hit the open.
High five! Who do you start? Who do you sit? Any sleepers? Here's Cecil Lammey with this week's 5 fantasy tips.
I'm so excited to not talk about the Broncos for at least 10 minutes. Cecil, I'm pumped about it. All right, let's go with the first one. We've got no more FOMO.
Yeah, it's the fear of missing out. And there is no more fear of missing out when it comes to Kansas City. Right? Because Kansas City is spreading the ball around just like they said they would. Now, I like that. I'm a believer in positive thinking, Rachel, and that's why I don't like to be so negative. You can't help it with the B word with the Broncos, except to be negative because they're just god awful and embarrassing. But I like positivity. I like the, hey, you think about it, you bring about it. Energy flows where attention goes, sun chakra, all that kind of stuff. I'm down with that. I'm crunchy, right? Not even a hippie. I'm crunchy. But I love it because Kansas City said they were going to do this. Hey, we're going to spread it around this year. So you don't have any like, oh, I didn't get Tyreek Hill. Now you do with Travis Kelce, but tight end's brutal. Tight end sucks this year. There's like 2 guys, and then TJ Hawkinson will have like a game and be like, I'm here, guys, and I'm late. Like, tight end is brutal. So Travis Kelce, yes. But any of those wide receivers, name any single of those wide receivers, they're just spreading it around so much. So if you're a fantasy GM, a lot of the times it's getting your chips on the really great teams. And who are the really great teams? Well, 24 of the 32 teams are 500 or less. So we know who the great teams are because there's only like 8 of them. And we know who the great offenses are. Kansas City is certainly a great offense, but there's no more FOMO. If someone's tossing out a trade offer for a Kansas City wide receiver, I'm just like, nah, because that'll change. And 1 week it'll be Juju Smith-Schuster, and the next week it'll be Sky Moore, and the next week it'll be somebody else. Like, it's just always constantly rotating. So it's kind of a good thing for fantasy GMs because there's no more FOMO when it comes to the Kansas City wide receivers.
Number 2 coming in at Fly, Eagles, Fly. Gosh, they're so fun to watch.
Yeah, and based off my comments I just made where it's like, okay, grab your chips from all of those teams that are really good, and the Eagles are, and we have to give a ton of credit to Jalen Hurts, a ton of credit to Hurts, because there were opportunities for this to go the other way. Again, thinking of, the flow of energy in life. Like, you can think Jalen Hurts could have just been a running quarterback this year, and even with A.J. Brown, and even with offense, and blah, 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 and he would just still be that runner. He doesn't even need to run, and he's a top flight fantasy quarterback. And it is because of A.J. Brown, but it's because of his development as a passer. And it's one of those things that I guess was kind of ignored by some people out there. Like, he'll just be a runner this year. Like, well, maybe not, and I always like to look, again, emphasizing the positive, like maybe a guy can take that step, not to be wide-eyed, but what have we seen? What have it shown? And I've watched Jalen Hurts for a long, long time. And I remember when he was at the Senior Bowl, there were days, and Justin Herbert was there, and Herbert's just different. But there were days when Steven Montez looked way better than Jalen Hurts. So you took a guy that was really rough, really raw. The Eagles put him in the starting lineup. There's buzz about getting him benched even a year ago. Like, oh, they just can't do it. And then they put more tools around him. God bless Howie Roseman. I know Howie a little bit, but God bless Howie Roseman because he put the tools around this young man for him to thrive and excel and succeed. And it's been fantastic to watch his development. So if you got the Slim Reaper, Devontae Smith, he's in as a flex play this week because it's more than just A.J. Brown. It's more than just Dallas Goedert, who's kind of solid as a tight end. Again, tight end's pretty brutal. But I even look at a Kenneth Gainwell. Miles Sanders is doing thing. Miles Sanders didn't score last year. He was just like Jerry Jeudy, except he's good at football. So now he's scoring. He's having all these yards. So I'm looking at Kenneth Gainwell behind him. I'm like, I'm starting Kenneth Gainwell as a what the heck flex because the Eagles in every week, they're looking to be the favorite. Their offense is going to lead the way, and that's due to Jalen Hurts' development. So grab your Eagles, And fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles, fly. They do look really good. My goodness, they're fun to watch. All right. Are they good? Question mark. It's a question we could definitely be asking for this Broncos team.
Yeah. Well, I look at the schedule this week, and there's several. Are they good? Games coming up. And when I sent this topic, I was mainly thinking of Cincinnati and Baltimore.
Yeah.
It's like, are they good? Like Cincinnati, are they good? Like, obviously I know Joe Burrow's good, except someone needs to have a talk with Burrow. Maybe it's Andrew Luck. Honestly, it'd be the perfect person to have the talk with him. Someone that says, live to fight another day. There's some plays where it's just not worth it to hold on to the ball and run around and try to pick up those yards and then get crushed, right? Like sometimes just throw it away. Peyton Manning, it'd be great to talk to Joe Burrow, talk to Peyton Manning. Like, hey, sometimes you just self-sack. Just go down. They can't really hit you. But hey, it's a sack, everybody. Big deal. You didn't get hit. Because Burrow is so intent on just staying in there and looking downfield and firing passes that he's getting killed on that Bengals offensive line. So are they good? I know Jamar Chase is good. I know Tyler Boyd is good. I know T. Higgins is good. It's a Hayden Hurst revenge game against Baltimore this week. And I actually do like Hayden Hurst as a sleeper tight end. But, like, are they good? I'm not sure yet. Baltimore, are they good? More on them in just a little bit.
There's a lot of questions for a lot of teams, I feel like. Okay. Coming in at number 4, the Gus Bus.
Yes, I love it. Get on the bus. Get on board, everybody. Now, I love big backs, and I cannot lie. And as someone who nominates every year, I take one big back, and I say, that's my motorboat running back of the year, right? Because big backs, you love them, right? Just go love them up. Love them up. Love the power game. I am a fan of old school football, which is power football, right? Run the ball, play great defense. You're going to score 12 points. It's not going to be ugly like last night, but you're going to just take an opponent's will. That's the great thing about running the football and football in general. You can make someone give up. You can see it. You can see it in their body language. The Baltimore Ravens are built to do that. And I hate the Ratbirds. Stokely always gets mad when I call them the Ratbirds because he won a Super Bowl with the Ratbirds. I hate the Ravens. I'm a Steelers fan. So obviously I naturally hate the Ravens. It's mainly because they used to be a mirror image of each other. Not the case anymore. But with Gus Edwards, who's coming back from his knee injury, he's out there in everybody's waiver wire right now. He might be their lead running back as soon as he's healthy because J.K. Dobbins is like, he's okay. And J.K., just like Gus, missed all of last year. They both had knee injuries. J.K. was able to come back a little bit sooner. Gus a little bit later. Gus, they just activated. They opened the window. They allowed him to start practicing again. So they haven't officially activated him, but now they have 21 days to do just that. Won't be for this week. But again, I'm thinking waiver wire. And if you can find a starting running back on the waiver wire, and it's week 5, it's the middle of October, and you're going to, hey, there's a starting running back, Gus Edwards. So get on to Gus Bus. Because he's going to be cheap if you use free agent bucks to bid on which is the only fair way for waiver wires, by the way. I do not play in any leagues where it's first come, first serve, because then you got guys like my buddy Ron who set an alarm for 2 a.m. and he wakes up on Tuesday morning, he does all the waivers, and then he goes back to sleep. And then you wake up at 7 and you're like, wow, what a great day. Hey, it's waivers today. Oh my God, Ron got everybody. Screw you, Ron. Anyway, so for me, if you got free agent bucks, it's not going to cost a lot for Gus Edwards, who could be and emerge the perfect back for Baltimore, the perfect complement for what they do with Lamar Jackson. So get on the Gus Bus.
On the Gus Bus. Yeah, we don't like Ron. That's a little too early. All right, last one. Rookie roundup.
Ron's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's just a little cheater. Nobody likes that in fantasy leagues, by the way.
Or just super smart. I mean,
yeah, either way. I'm usually going to bed around 2, so maybe I should just stay up a little bit longer. Anyway, rookie roundup. There are several rookies that you need to look at now, and mostly wide receivers, honestly, as potential targets for trades. Okay, so a lot of these guys are already going to be had. Romeo Doubs, which we talked about last week, is already blown up. He's gone. You're not getting him. You should have listened earlier. But Christian Watson, right there with him, the other guy, the higher pick, the second round pick, has been kind of flashing a little bit as well, mainly with the rushing touchdown. When Christian Watson had a rushing touchdown, I was like, huh? Because he's a wide receiver. He's kind of got body control, a slight version of CeeDee Lamb. I don't want to be too high of praise, but that there's that like how do you make that type of catch type stuff with Christian Watson? So you consider him, he'd be cheap to have in trades. He might be on some waiver wires as well. So you look back to Green Bay. It's not just Romeo Doubs. There is Christian Watson that can make some plays as well. I look at Chris Olave. I look at what you're doing with New Orleans. And I don't care if it's Andy Dalton. I don't care if it's Jameis Winston. When you find someone that's a security blanket, as Chris Olave is, that's the guy you keep going back to. That's the guy that you want to target, especially in PPR formats. A new version of Jarvis Landry, who happens to be his teammate now. But you see with Olave how it's working there. So when I do a rookie roundup, because a lot of people are shy with rookies, I'm not. Sometimes to my detriment, like I'll be the guy, and I'm known in some of my leagues, like I'm just going to be the rookie guy. Like, you're a rookie, I'm going to pick you up. Because one, you're going to be cheap or a late draft pick. I do auctions mostly, but like, yeah, you're going to be cheap and you've got potential. Well, we're seeing now it's week 5. Like we've seen the rookies that are coming through. There are others as well, but those that spring to mind first are those 2 Packers kids. And of course, what Olave's doing down. Oh, by the way, Garrett Wilson. I was going to talk about Garrett Wilson as well, because Zach Wilson, and there's a ton of jokes I could make about Zach or make fun of him for being a baby face, but Zach Wilson's one of his favorite targets is Garrett Wilson. So that rookie wide receiver is coming through, and he is fast as all get out, like their version of KJ Hamler, except they use him. So like Garrett Wilson, you could have a nice little Wilson to Wilson connection there. Garrett Wilson is another one of those receivers, and he might be out there on a lot of waiver wires. So again, whether it's trades, throwing some stuff out, or working the waiver wire, you've got an opportunity to make your team better with some of these rookies.
All right, great 5 facts from Cecil Lammey presented by Hooters. Cecil, appreciate it. We got to move on to Broncos injuries, though, because, wow, did it hurt when you had to see Garrett Bowles go down, and he's coming off with a broken right leg. Best case is roughly 6 weeks. I don't expect him to be back out there, Cecil. What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when the cart came out, I was like, he got carted out before. I think it was his rookie year. Can't remember. Yep. And so the cart came out, and we're like, oh, my God. And then it was practice like on Wednesday, right? So I go out to the facility on Wednesday. He's out there practicing. I was like, what? Like, don't do the cart thing. So when the cart came out initially, I was cart skeptical. Again, I'm an aloha. Okay, sue me. There's a masseuse will get mad at me or whatever. But like, no, with Garrett Bowles, that's a major injury. Yeah. He was not playing well. Okay, we can tell the truth about Garrett Bowles because we're not his buddies, even though Garrett's a nice guy. Garrett is a really, really good man. But he wasn't playing well. He's regressed since 2020. We all can admit that. Unless you got your head in the dirt, like you can all admit, hey, Garrett Bowles isn't what he was when there weren't any fans in the stands. Yep. So there's all that conversation. Calvin Anderson is a left tackle, though, because people will chirping him up and be like, why is he the right tackle? And it's not like Cam Fleming's doing this entire offensive line is just pretty bad right now. And Dalton Reisner's hurt, by the way. So I give Dalton a little bit of a pass because he's banged up. But like Calvin Anderson's a left. So he's not a right. And the fact that he's a left makes me feel a little bit better because we should see better play, even from a guy who had the opportunity to win right tackle and did not.
Listen, Russell Wilson got sacked 4 times yesterday. That'll tell you enough about the offensive line that you need to know. But yeah, there are so many crucial injuries for this Broncos team. Tim Patrick, obviously, that's training camp. Justin Simmons expected to come back off of IR. Ojemudia, Williams, Gregory, Miners, Darby, Jewell, Browning, Bowles. The list goes on, but can you make excuses for injuries because they happen all the time, Cecil?
And this is why you need to, and every doctor that I've ever talked to 100% disagrees with this, and obviously I'm just some football guy, and they're medical professionals, so I say this with all respect, but I believe, this is just me, I believe that your body becomes callous to contact, and it's more about recovery than it is about, like, taking the hit. I'm not saying you need to do the Oklahoma drill when you're 8 years old, and nobody does the Oklahoma drill anymore. It's interesting because it used to be my favorite drill because you found out a lot about people when you did the Oklahoma. And I'm not saying that because we know the impact of concussions. I mean, look at the Nyheim Hines thing. I mean, my guy, like, stop, please. I don't need to see that. Yep. I don't want to see Tua out there. Like, that is disturbing. So we understand. That's why things like the Oklahoma drill are taken away.
real quick, did Russ wobble? Because when you're in the press box, you can't see it like people on TV get to. Did he wobble when he got up? Because there was talk of it, and then there were people saying, "Oh no, he was totally fine."
Nah, I mean, I guess I'd have to go back and look a little bit closer. I can't say for certain, but I know that they are watching the wobble even more because it's a brain bruise. So I get it while those type of drills, but you have to be physical, at least full speed. You are going to have walkthroughs. So there's days you have walkthroughs. It's a walkthrough, everybody. Okay, hey, but you're doing everything full speed. These jog throughs, these stuff that Hackett was doing, the super fun, happy fun baby star, like, come on, man. It's not Club Med. Like, you got to get these guys ready for football. And again, it's about the recovery. You got to work your body. You have to, in a way, punish your body so that your body can go, oh, this is what I have to do. And then your body can recover. Again, doctors will tell you, don't do that. Don't do it. All I know is ever since the NFL, and they trick the players, again, the CBA is awful for the NFL. So they trick the players. You can smoke weed and you don't have to practice. Yay! You have a bad product. The NFL should be embarrassed of their product right now because most of these games are no good. Again, 24 teams are 500 or less. That's awful. And I know it's just early in the season, but like, we want to see good football. We're all crazy for football. When a preseason game, and this is where I get snobby about football, I apologize to Jake mainly. When a preseason Lions and Steelers games gets higher ratings than the Stanley Cup playoffs, you know people are crazy about football. But this product sucks. And I think the product sucks because the players don't do anything in the preseason. You might want to change that.
I am with you on the preseason needs to matter. And I think you have to almost stop doing the joint practices because it takes away from the preseason game. Because they do all the hard work in the joint practices, and then there's nothing to go with the preseason game.
Or so, you just televise the joint practices, right? True. That's it. Like, because the thing about the joint practice that's good is you're able to script stuff.
Yeah.
So you're saying, and the defense doesn't know, but let's say you're like, I really want to work on this RPO thing. So you tell the other opposing coach, like, okay, in this period, I'd like to work some RPO here. Again, the players on the field don't know, but the coaches work together to be like, hey, my team's weak here. Let's work here. How about this here? How about that? So it's kind of scripted. And it's very interesting to see the development you can from those. But I definitely hear how, like, well, they don't do anything in the preseason game. Yeah. Okay, there needs to be a balance. And if it would actually be more joint practices in addition to preseason, like it. And again, you don't let coaches get away with this because here's what coaches do. You're fine. You're fine. So there needs to be some sort of balance because it's gone too far. Again, classic overcorrection. It's gone too far the other way from 3-a-days and, guys dehydrated on whatever on the field to nobody practices and you have bad football because of it.
Yep. Okay. We need to bring in our very own Jake Spear because we have our survivor pool. But while we do that, Cecil, I do find it very interesting that it seems like everything that has come out of Nathaniel Hackett's mouth has almost backfired on him, right? Wanting to be healthy come week 17. That was always the most important thing. That's why we didn't see players in the preseason. That's why they didn't do as tough of practices, yada, yada, yada. It's kind of backfired. Look at how many injuries there are. Just talking about Russ, there's just so many things that have stuck out in my mind that I'm like, it's just kind of backfiring on him.
Yeah, I've done a good job to keep it all together, but there's only so much I can say about Nathaniel Hackett before it sounds like it's personal. And my key work to the building this week, Rachel, I was kind of surprised. I was like, beep, oh my God, they let me in. So I kind of want to make sure that still happens. So I don't want it to ever sound personal, but Nathaniel Hackett does not need to be the head coach of the Broncos.
Your key's going to work longer than his, Cecil.
Oh, wow. Jake, off the top rope.
Yeah, no kidding.
Hey, I already got one coach fired in Boulder a week back, so we'll work on the next one.
Okay.
It's tough time to be a football fan in Colorado. Jake, what you got for
us? Survivor Pool week 5. It's really called a Survivor Pool at this point because we have barely been surviving. But we've got, same brain picks here. Everyone's Bills or Jags. So again, if you're rooting for maximum chaos, if you want to see us do funny stuff, you're rooting against the Bills and the Jaguars, some of the biggest point spreads on the weekend there.
Okay, well, D-Mac still needs to do Pop Rocks in his mouth Monday. I'm going to make sure he does that.
Wait. He didn't do that this week?
He hasn't done it. Nope.
What?
I know. I think it went over his head that he forgot he had to do it.
He's being a talent, Rachel, and you're not like this. Fortunately, I'll get like this once in a while. Ask Raj about my one talent. He cut me deep. But anyway, talent. You know what talent are? A bunch of alohas. A bunch of like what? There's not green M&Ms in my dressing room. Like yeah, so that's what D-Mac's doing. He didn't forget. He's just being talent. Like I don't have to do that. I'm D-Mac. So make him do it. I had to do a show in the backyard wearing a friggin' headset. I sounded like crap, like because I had to do it hand in the dirt.
Absolutely. Trust me, he'll get it done. We'll make sure he gets it done. Jake and I are on this one. But Cecil, as always, it is a joy having you. Appreciate your opinion and your calmness here today on this Friday. You guys, we've got 10 more days of this. Buckle up, Broncos country. It's going to be tough. Jake, wonderful job this week on the producer back end and hopping on with us too. And we'll see everybody come Monday morning, 10:30 a.m. Bye, everyone.